Hi, my name is RM Harish Pawan, studying in Sri Venkateswara College of Engineering. Today I am going to explain about database management system architecture. The first concept, data models. Data model is a collection of concepts that can be used to describe the structures of the database. By the structures, we mean the data types, relations, and constraints that would hold on the data. Also includes the basic operations for specifying retrieval and updates on the database. It is becoming the more common include concept to specify the dynamic aspects or behavior of the database applications. Coming to objectives, all users should be able to access same data. All users view is immune to change made in the other views. Users should not need to know physical database storage details. Database Dbms architecture. There are two architecture, logical Dbms architecture and physical Dbms architecture. Coming to logical DBMS architecture, the logical architecture deals with the way data is stored and presented to users. Coming to architecture, physical architecture is concerned with software components that make up DBMS. DBMS structure. There first is general user and application and DBA database schema. Object code system calls contains DML precompiler and query contains query processor, data manager and file manager. D, DML precompiler contains DDL, a set of commands required to define the format of the data. DML set of commands that modify processed data. DML precompiler converts DML statements embedded in an application program to normal procedure calls language. It interacts with query processor generate the appropriate code. Coming to DDL compiler. DDL compiler converts DDL statements into set of tables containing the metadata tables which are in the form of that can be used by other components of the DBMS. Coming to file manager. A file manager manages the allocation of the space on the disk storage, while query processor is responsible for receiving query language statements and changing to form of the data DBMS can understand. It has two parts, parser and query optimizer. In DBMS Database Manager, it is an interface between low-level data and application program and queries. It enforces constraints to maintain the consistency and integrity of the database as well as its security. It synchronizes the concurrent access. It allows perform concurrent access, perform backup and recovery operations. Database manager components are authorizations control, command processor, integrity checker, query optimizer, transaction manager, and scheduler, recovery manager, buffer manager. While authorization control checks the user as necessary authorization out of the required function, while command processor converts command into logical sequence of the string. While integrity checker Integrity checker checks the required operations satisfy all the integrity constraints such as key constraint. Coming to query optimizer. Query optimizer examines the query language statement and tries to choose the best and most efficient way to executing the queries. The factor CPU time, disk runtime, network, and sorting methods and scanning methods. Coming to transaction manager, the transaction manager maintains the authorization concurrency. Scheduler, it controls the relative order in which operations are executed. Recovery manager, it ensures that database remains in a constraints the presence of failure responsible for commit and abort. The last one, buffer manager, it's responsible for the transfer of the data between main memory and secondary storage. The advantages of DBMS structure: reducing data redundancy. The file-based database management system contain multiple files that we are stored in many different locations in a system or even across multiple systems. Because of this, there were sometimes multiple copies of the same file which lead to data redundancy. This is prevented in a database as there is single database and any change in the reflected immediately. Because of this, there is no chance of encountering the duplicate data sharing of data. In database, the user of database can share the data among themselves. There are various levels of authorization to access the data, and consequently the data can be only be shared based on the correct authorization protocol being followed. Many remote users can also access the database simultaneously and share the data between themselves. Data integrity means that data is accurate and consistent. The database data integrity is a very important as there multiple database in DBMS. All of this database contains data in visible multiple users. So it is necessary to ensure that data is correct and consistent in all database for all users. The data security. The data security is a vital concept in a database. Only authorized users should be allowed to access the database and their identity should be authenticated using a username and password. Unauthorized users should not be allowed to access the database under any circumstances as it violates the integrity constraints. Privacy. The privacy rule in the database means only authorized users can access the database according to its privacy constraints. There are levels of database access and users can only view the data is allowed to. For example, in social network sites, access the constraints are different for different accounts the user may want to access. Finally, I'm thanking you.